What's up, guys? This is Matt Singer from ScreenCrush.com, and today we're counting down the top 5 craziest twist endings of all time. A great twist ending can put the exclamation point on an awesome story, but a bizarre or unmotivated twist ending can kill a viewer's good mood faster than Donnie Wahlberg killed Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense. Whoops, spoiler alert. Sorry about that. If you're worried about the endings of 5 very crazy movies, maybe you should watch our top 5 best reboots instead. Speaking of which, in that top 5 best reboots episode, I mentioned the baffling ending of Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, where, spoiler alert, Mark Wahlberg lands on a Planet of the Apes that includes a monument to that great leader, Abraham Lincoln. That's a pretty dumb twist, and to this day no one's been able to explain what the hell it's supposed to mean, but it wasn't that crazy. After all, the first Planet of the Apes ended with the mother of all twists. So it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that Burton would try to do the same. So you won't see the Great Emancipator on this list. Our official ranking kicks off with number 5, Predestination. This one opened in theaters earlier this year, so you might not have heard of it. If you did hear about it, it was probably in a conversation that went something like this. Dude, have you seen Predestination? That is one crazy movie. And the ending is insane. Oh man, is it ever. This thing makes The Sixth Sense look like 16 candles. The basic premise, based on a short story by Robert Heinlein, is about a time cop played by Ethan Hawke who's traveling through time looking for a serial killer known as the Fizzle Bomber. Along the way, Hawke's character meets a man in a bar played by Sarah Snook with an elaborate backstory. He was born a girl and then had her female organs removed after complications during childbirth. In any other movie, that'd be the crazy part, but here that's just the top of the insanity iceberg, because it turns out that Ethan Hawke and Sarah Snook are the same guy or girl at different points in their life. And it also turns out that both of them are also the Fizzle Bomber. Remember that scene from Adaptation where Charlie Kaufman's brother hatches up the idea for his movie The Three, where all the characters are the same person? Predestination is like someone bought that pitch and then was like, no, not insane enough. Add like 5 more characters to the mix. So almost every character in the movie is the same person at different points in their time-skewed life. It's totally crazy. But in this story about fate and destiny and time travel, it actually kind of works. If only the same could be said for the rest of the movies on this list. On to number 4, The Mist. This 2007 Stephen King adaptation follows the members of a small town in Maine that's suddenly enveloped by a mysterious cloud filled with giant killer insects. And with words like Stephen King, mysterious cloud, and giant killer insects in the plot description, no sane viewer would expect The Mist to go for a mega happy ending, with the townsfolk alive and the bugs dead and rainbows and lollipops for all. Now that said, the ending for The Mist takes bleak to a whole new level. A carload full of survivors trying to escape the mist runs out of gas, and deciding they have no hope for survival, Thomas Jane's David elects to use their one handgun and their 4 remaining bullets to put the other 4 people in the car, including his own son, out of their misery. Without a bullet to kill himself, though, David has to face the mist alone. Except, when he does, the U.S. Army shows up out of nowhere. The monsters are gone. The mist vanishes. If David had waited just 1 more minute to blow his own child's brains out, they would have all been spared. Damn, that's cold. So cold, in fact, that Darabont had to fight at every step of the way to protect this twist ending. According to IMDb, Darabont even had an offer to make the film for twice the budget if he'd only cut back on the brutal child murder. He refused, and he wound up making the movie at half the price and without a salary. If that's not crazy, I don't know what is. Number 3, Remember Me. Speaking of crazy cold endings, in this 2010 coming-of-age romantic drama, Robert Pattinson stars as the troubled son of a wealthy businessman. When he falls in love with another troubled college student played by Emily DeRaven, he begins to heal his strained relationship with his father. And then he dies at the World Trade Center on 9/11. I don't want to joke about that day or make light of it in any way. That would be like demeaning the memory of those who died by using them as a cheap, shocking twist in a Robert Pattinson movie. Honestly, the whole thing is so icky, I almost left it off this list entirely because it seemed in poor taste just to mention it in this dopey YouTube video. But ultimately, I decided the sheer craziness of this twist had to be acknowledged, because the list wouldn't be complete without it. I'll say this for Remember Me. The title is accurate. You don't forget a movie where Robert Pattinson suddenly and randomly dies in a terrorist attack. Ugh. Let's just move on. Next up, number 2, Orphan. This 2009 horror flick looks like a Bad Seed-style evil kiddie movie, like The Good Son or The Omen or, The Bad Seed. A married couple played by Vera Farmiga and Peter Sarsgaard adopt a little girl named Esther, little realizing their new bundle of joy is, in fact, a harbinger of evil. Accidents and death seem to follow Esther wherever she goes, but she looks like a little angel. What could possibly be wrong with her? I'll tell you what's wrong with her. Esther isn't a little girl at all. She's actually a 33-year-old woman disguised as a 9-year-old. Boy, when one of the sisters at the orphanage said she was very mature for her age, she wasn't kidding. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, but this whole thing sounds kind of fishy to me. Supposedly, Esther has this rare but legitimate disorder that makes her look very young. And this disorder has a Wikipedia page, so it must be true. But nobody noticed this cherubic little girl was actually a middle-aged Estonian woman? Or that she had hideous scars on her neck and wrist? Those seem like the sorts of details that are tough to miss. It's kind of a reverse Jack. That Robin Williams movie where he plays a kid who looks like a middle-aged man? If, Jack was also a serial killer. Actually, that doesn't sound like a terrible movie. And now it's time for our number 1 craziest twist ending of all time. And there's no way you could have seen this one coming. It's Safe Haven. Maybe you saw the trailer for 2013's Safe Haven and you thought it was just another melodramatic adaptation of a Nicholas Sparks romance about Josh Duhamel falling in love with Julianne Hough, and Julianne Hough falling in love with Josh Duhamel, and Julianne Hough bonding with her neighbor Kobe Smulders, and Josh Duhamel and Julianne Hough making out, occasionally while they're sopping wet. But in fact, there was more. Much, much more. Huff's character finds safe haven in the arms of Josh Duhamel because she's on the run from the law after being accused of murder. And it just so happened that the cop that's chasing her is also the man she supposedly tried to murder. But that's not the big twist. The big twist comes at the very end of the movie when, for no reason at all, we learn that Kobe Smulders' character was a ghost! Turns out she was actually Josh Duhamel's dead wife who was hanging around Julianne Hough, I guess to audition her as a possible new wife for her beloved husband? Also, do you really want your husband to spend the rest of his life with the kind of person who can't tell the difference between a ghost and a real human being? To me, that makes someone a candidate for the mental hospital, not a lifelong marriage. Well, that's gonna wrap up this top 5, the top 5 craziest twist endings of all time. Or does it? Yes. Yes, it does. For Screen Crush, I'm Matt Singer. Thanks for watching, and for even more, make sure to subscribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and get the latest movie and TV news on ScreenCrush.com.